Does talking to strangers make you happier? Could ageing disgracefully help you live longer? I'm Dr. Michael Mosley, and in my Just One Long Thing podcast series, I'll be chatting to doctors and scientists. We'll be covering topics like sleep, exercise, happiness, and staying young, with each of our experts choosing a health hack they claim is the single most effective way you can improve your life. Just One Long Thing. Listen first on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast. As we record, the Scottish Premiership is on hiatus, so we're taking the chance to pause, take a breath and reflect on the season so far. We're publishing mid-season report cards for all 12 top-flight teams that will tell you all you need to know about where they are and how they got there. And this episode is dedicated to the side currently sitting in 4th place, Kilmarnock.
Comes in right to the back post and it's not dealt with. A scramble in the ball and it's brought it home. Kilmarnock have the equaliser and it's Stuart Finlay who runs off in celebration. Oh, big chance. Oh, he scored! And it's Rory McKenzie. Tries to come in field, gets the left foot, shot away! What a goal from Kyle Vassell! What a strike that was!
This is the Scottish Football Podcast.
Joining me to dissect Kilmarnock's season so far is former Rugby Park goalkeeper and sports scene pundit Cammy and editor of the Killie Hippo fanzine Sandy Armour. How are we, guys? Thanks very much for joining us. Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, very good, Amy. Thank you very much. I hope you had a good one yourself.
I did, Sandy. Cammy, were you a wee bit under the weather?
I was, Amy, yes. Unfortunately, missed Christmas Day. Either had COVID or the flu, but I'm well over it now, so looking forward to talking about Kilmarnock.
Absolutely, and sure, the Killie performances over the festive period made it a little bit easier to get through. Plenty to get through with Cammy and Sandy, but first let's remind ourselves of Kilmarnock's season so far.
It's important that we try and demonstrate that there's an improvement in us. Our home form was really good last season. We beat every team in the Premier League last season except the Old Firm. We'd like that to change this season for obvious reasons.
Watson hurls the ball into the penalty area. It's in! It's in! Kilmarnock have for the goal! Dreadful defending from Rangers. Might get the shot in on the right foot, comes across goal. It's tapped in! Kilmarnock in front to the Smalley Watkins!
I'm absolutely delighted with the efforts every day. And it was great to see Rugby Park, our fans so noisy and vociferous at the end and acknowledging the efforts of everybody.
Working the 1-2 was Lawrence Shankland, and the ball is tucked in the back of the net, and it's George Grant.
Armstrong up to the edge, he slips into Matty Kennedy, it's in! It's in! Goal Kilmarnock! Matty Kennedy slips it beyond Joe Hart! Watson with a touch, Watson with a strike, oh that's brilliant!
I feel as though we're a different animal this season, but also wanted us to try and make sure we were better on the road winning games. So it's ticked that box that hopefully we can have more away days like today.
Danny Armstrong steps back, left footed, steps up, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way!
The players have worked towards this break. They've been absolutely first class. They've sacrificed so much, putting themselves out there. But the players need to just switch off now and be ready to pick up where we left off, really try and go on another unbeaten run when we come back.
Some memorable moments there, and just to summarise Kilmarnock's campaign up to this point, Derek McInnes's side currently sit 4th in the Premiership with 31 points from 8 wins, 7 draws and 7 defeats. They started the league season with a 1-0 home victory over Rangers, and that was followed up a couple of weeks later by beating Celtic by the same scoreline in the League Cup, although they did go on to lose 2-1 to Hearts in the next round. Despite strong showings at home, they hadn't won on the road in the league all season until they beat Aberdeen 1-0 at Pittodrie at the start of December, and that was followed up by their second victory over Celtic, beating the champions 2-1 at Rugby Park. And then they went 6 matches undefeated until they lost 3-1 to Rangers at Ibrox. Plenty of highlights in there, Sandy. Did you expect quite so many in the first half of the season? What were your ambitions heading into this campaign?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, Amy, we didn't expect, some of the results we've had at the end of last season. Obviously, it went to the wire pretty much. We had to win our the last 2 games to avoid, the playoff spot even. So, yeah, I think we recruited relatively well in the summer and certainly in some areas of the team. But nobody expected the start to me when we came out of the starting blocks. We looked at it in the opening games, it looked difficult, and then it looked as if September was a month where we would pick up points. And the reality was, it was sort of the other way around. Once we come out and got those wins in the opening in August, everybody was really expecting something special, I think. We then had a dip through September, October sort of thing. But as you say, we've picked up, we went a great run through December, which is traditionally a vital time of the season. That can define your season a wee bit during the festive period because of the number of games. So we've done superbly well. And even as you say, we lost at Ibrox, but it was fine lines. If we'd taken the 1-on-1 chance when it was still goalless, who knows what might have happened. So yeah, very happy, and things are very positive around the club at the moment.
Absolutely. And Cammy, Sandy sort of touches on it there, but given the battling nature of last season, anyone would have bitten your hand off at a top 6, and let's even go better, a top 4 spot at the halfway point of the season, eh?
Yeah, listen, Kilmarnock have been fantastic the first half of the season, or more than half of the season. I think there's 16 games left to play in the league. And they've started really well. They've been consistent, as Sandy said, through December, which has been really, really important. And some big wins in there. Again, the away wins last season, we all know that was their Achilles heel, was the away performances, results weren't good enough, but they've started to win games away and at difficult places. Going to Aberdeen, winning away. St Mirren was a massive away win in December there, just before the break. And listen, I don't think Derek McInnes would have wanted the break to come. I think he would have wanted to continuously keep playing. But the break has come. He's given him a little bit of time to discuss things with the board to see if he can bring in another 1 or 2 players. But they've got key players in their team, absolutely. Matty Kennedy, Danny Armstrong, Vassell Watkins, Brad Lyons, they're all key players. And if they can keep these guys fit, keep them at the club, then they've got a right good chance of finishing in the top 6, if not higher, this season.
Getting that monkey off the back, Sandy, that away win that obviously it came, the first one at Pittodrie, it's sort of like the buses, you wait forever for one and then they all start flooding in. That was a crucial moment, wasn't it? A real turning point, and not only this season, but that sort of Derek McInnes reign, because Cammy mentions that last season it was sort of an unwelcome theme, a running theme in this Killie side, that they just simply couldn't transfer the great work that could be done at home on the road. Yeah,
it's very true. It was building up again. As you see, we had the problem last season, and it was building up again this season because we were progressing into sort of through October, November, still hadn't won away. And psychologically, I think it is. It's the monkey on your back, and I think it was an absolutely huge relief when the performance, the game at Pittodrie was very much it's not a game to remember, I'm sure, for neutrals. However, from a Kilmarnock point of view, just to get that goal in the last minute, and it was a worldie for David Watson in the last minute that won it. So, yeah, fantastic. So I think that then takes a bit of pressure off them, if you like, mentally. And so they're going into other games like this St Mirren game, knowing that they've already won away from home, they can do it again. So that was a problem for a long time last season. That's now, that's no longer an issue this season. And as you say, our home form continues to be strong. So yeah, as I say, it's all very positive at the moment. And I think the wee break, as much as we're in a good bit of form, I think there's a couple of wee injuries and stuff that might, I'm sure every club will benefit from getting a few players back with the extra wee break. But yeah, very much looking forward to the cup game against Dundee when we start back.
Cammy, you've been on both sides of this coin. What is it about this Kilmarnock side? And I think everyone can see it is there, that they have this confidence in the mentality that they do not fear Celtic or Rangers, especially at home, but even away. I know there was that defeat at Ibrox, but there was still there's that streak in the side that they do have that sort of ability to not fear, but particularly when the Old Firm come down to Ayrshire. What is it about this side that they just manage to not only not be feared by them, but put the fear into them?
I think Derek McInnes has brought a lot of belief to his squad. First and foremost, to work ever so hard in a game. I've watched them a number of times this season. If you play for Derek McInnes, you need to work hard, no matter what position you play in on the pitch. But also what they've got, Amy, now is quality. They've got good quality within the squad. They've got a strong squad, a bit of depth there as well. Again, they went to Ibrox, and had a number of players you probably would have expected to start on the bench. I know young Watson came on quite early in the game, but again, they've got players that are replacing these guys, Donnelly, Polworth, guys that have played a number of games in the top flight. So they've got real strength and depth in the squad. But I really do just believe it's that momentum, belief that Derek McInnes is bringing to the club. But they've got some really, really good and talented players, and that's why I said before, it's key that Kilmarnock keep these players at the club as well. That's the big job for the board going forward. Your Danny Armstrongs, your Matty Kennedys, these guys, your David Watsons as well, a young quality player. They need to keep these players at the club if they want to progress.
Let's get on to some of this personnel in this side, because my goodness, we could be here all day rattling through this Killie team filled with quality. It's taken a wee bit of time though, Sandy, hasn't it? But we're really starting to see Derek McInnes' Kilmarnock now, aren't we? This is his players playing his way, and so far so good.
Yeah, I think when Derek McInnes came, everybody was happy we got a manager of his calibre. Aberdeen were always a hard team to play against. They weren't always, very expansive, but very, very hard to play against, very hard to beat, and that's what we sort of expected. I think the problem Derek McInnes had was he was still left with players under contract. Now, he got his up obviously from the Championship one season, but he was still stuck with players under contract that, in all honesty, he probably didn't want. So he had to. That last season was a bit frustrating at times. But I think the board have seen it very much as a point in Derek McInnes as a longer term, a project, if you like. And I think that's what you're seeing coming to fruition at the moment. We're just gradually getting. He's getting the players in. He's getting the team that he wanted to build, and it's still ongoing. But yeah, just gradually, it's been a progression. And as long as you progress year on year, nobody can argue with that. And I think that's what you're seeing at the moment. I don't know if we'll do too much business, maybe do a wee bit of business. As I say, we do need something else up top, I think, another option up top. But yeah, very happy. And as you say, players like Polworth, for example, is a favourite of mine who didn't feature a lot and still is a bit in and out. So yeah, I think there's far more depth to the squad now, and it can only get better from what I can see.
The name that sort of comes to mind this season for Killie, for me, is Lewis Mayo. Now, he's been at Killie a wee while, obviously the loan signing, but it just sort of seems that getting that deal over the line and just becoming a permanent Killie player. Now, you played with many centre-halves in front of you. For a young guy, he's very, very assured, isn't he?
Yeah, listen, he's been brilliant, Amy. Absolutely brilliant this season. He's got composure about him as a centre-half. He's a modern day centre-half, but also has that dig, that fight, can win his aerial challenges. So he's got everything as a young defender going forward, and I think he's been a really good signing for Kilmarnock. And again, it's another one they'll need to try and keep tied down to the club long term, because there's going to be people looking at the players because where they are in the league and how well they've done. But that's just a measure of how well the club's going forward and the way they're playing at the moment. For me, there's a few standouts in. Lewis Mayo's definitely one, but further up the pitch you look at, I've loved Danny Armstrong since he's came to the club. I know sometimes he doesn't always get past the player, but he'll go and he'll go again. Doesn't lack confidence, and listen, his goals and assists for the club are so important.
We were just chatting before we came onto the pod there, Sandy, about Danny Armstrong, Matt Kennedy on the other side as well. That width is so key to Kilmarnock, but those two guys that are absolutely taking that role that Derek McInnes is imposing on them in their stride, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very much how we play. We want the ball out wide to these guys. They're the guys that get us up the park. Armstrong's been fantastic, as Cammy says, absolutely fantastic. If it wasn't for his goals and assists last season, we might not be in the Premiership, and he's continued so far this year. I think he's got another 18 wins, so we've got him tied up a wee bit. Kennedy on our side is quality, absolute quality. I think he's signed a 3-year deal in the summer, so obviously he's a bit older and coming back to where he started, so I'm hopeful that he won't be looking to move, but there's without doubt, like some Mayo, Watson, Armstrong, as Cammy says, the downside of being up the table and getting a bit of more profile is you're seen by more people, and there is without doubt other clubs will be sniffing about. I'm hoping we maybe get to the summer to see how it pans out for the rest of the season. We'll take it from there, but we've got an experienced manager there that have dealt with all these types of situations in the past, so I'm confident the manager will deal with them in the proper manner.
A lot of people have been comparing this season Cammy, to Steve Clarke's time in charge. Now, that was the proper good old days. Do you think we're quite near that bracket yet?
Maybe not quite there yet, but again, I see what Derek McInnes is building at the club. I totally agree with Sandy that last season was a transitional season for Kilmarnock because they did have a number of players that maybe weren't good enough but were under contract, and Derek McInnes done well to get a tune out of these guys. So he's built his squad, he's got better quality. I think they're going in the right direction, absolutely. I don't think they're quite where Steve Clarke got the club, but listen, that was a special time for the club. And if Derek McInnes can get anywhere near that or repeat that, then he's doing an absolutely fantastic job. But I do think they're definitely going in the right direction, Amy.
This is the Scottish Football Podcast.
Right then, let's continue to look ahead just before we wrap up this mid-season report card for Kilmarnock. Sandy, you kind of touched on it, but if there were to be any positions that needed strengthened in this January transfer window, as we know, a notoriously difficult market to negotiate, and where would you be looking at? I'm sure you said earlier that another striker perhaps would be one of your points, but where else would you be looking for?
Yeah, certainly the striker I think is one. A few fans have said maybe in the right side of defence. However, it looks like McInnes doesn't play with right backs as such, and recently he's been bringing in Joe Wright maybe to play as almost a right wing back at times. As Cammy mentioned earlier about hard work, he actually likes a Danny Armstrong as much as he's a huge threat out of the park. He's got him chasing back as much and almost playing as a right wing back with Ndab on the other side. So yeah, I think defensively we're pretty sound. Maybe midfield again, maybe centre mid to give us another wee option in there. Liam Donnelly's very bad injury wise and tends to be on the treatment table a lot, so yeah, I wouldn't be averse to getting somebody else in the heart of midfield for a bit of competition. But I think that definitely the number one priority is a number 9. Vassell, he's a wee bit hot and cold, but he just never looks as if he's totally fit to me. I don't know if he's carrying an injury of some description. I think last summer we tried to get a number 9 in, possibly Cosgrove, I think. Stories were to believed. Never got it, so I think that is where McInnes will be looking to strengthen at the moment.
Say that dream striker comes in, Cammy. What would constitute as a successful season to Kilmarnock, given not what would have been successful at the beginning of the season, but where they find themselves now? Those expectations will no doubt be rising. What is a success down in Ayrshire?
Kilmarnock have got to be realistic. The second half of the season is going to be really hard, but they've got to finish top 6 now. I've got to fancy them to finish top 6. They've got a good enough squad. They've got a really good manager, and that's where they want to be. And then once you're in the top 6, Amy, anything can happen. You play teams that are all around you, so you can gain points very, very quickly. So, listen, you would love to see them in European football again, but I think top 6 is minimum for the club, and that's a real progression from last season. If they can get as Sandy said, I would say a priority would be a striker, because again, their strikers, Vassell's not always fit, and as Cameron's injured quite a bit. You've got Marley Watkins who chips in with goals and sometimes carries injuries, so you would like to see them if they can get a striker that can get sort of 8-9 goals between now and the end of the season, that would be key for them. But definitely a top 6 finish this season.
Things are all rosy, Sandy, aren't they? This is a much more positive mid-season podcast than you had to do last year, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You just hate getting too carried away because, there's a bump in the road around the corner, isn't there? But no, yeah, very positive. And I would just echo everything that Cammy said. We are where we are now, so we've got to look at top 6 from here on in, which is, to be fair, at the start of the season I think it was predicted maybe about 8th or something. So yeah, as I say, progression is a great thing, but we've put ourselves in a great position, and let's hope we can just kick on the next few months.
Absolutely. Sandy Armour and Cammy Bell, thank you both very much for joining me on the Scottish Football Podcast, this mid-season Kilmarnock report card, and thank you for listening. And remember, we'll have a special episode on every Premiership club throughout the winter break, so make sure you follow and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of them. Bye bye for now.
Hi, it's Amy Irons here. I just wanted to tell you that Sacked in the Morning is back for a new series. We are your survival guide to football management. If you want to hear exactly what goes on in the dugouts and dressing rooms across the world, then we are the pod for you. And as ever, I'll be joined by former Scotland gaffer Craig Levine and some of football's best managers to provide all the insight you could possibly need. And you can find it on BBC Sounds. Just search for Sacked in the Morning.